Intro. Oh. Is this... Alright. Intro. Looks like OBS is having a bit of trouble. Hello, Josh Vlogs. Welcome to chat. Thank you for watching. So, I need an explanation here. I recently got something for a friend. Specifically, this game, Infinifactory. And as much as watching him struggle has been nice, I don't want him to go through too much pain, and it looks like he needs to know something. So, I got all my blocks here. I've unlocked all of them, but I'm only going to try to use blocks that he's unlocked. He's just going to have to wonder what some of these special ones are. Let's see, he's unlocked the platform, conveyor, 2 rotators, the welders, the eviscerator, the sensors, the pusher, the blocker, and the conduit. He doesn't have the lifter, conveyor, laser, counters, or toggle. So, anyhow, we're going to be doing experiments. This is the experimental skydock, and I'm not going to turn on any of these right now, because to start this experiment, I am going to do things with pushers and blockers. Now, I saw in his last video that he was trying to experiment certain ways with pushers and blockers, and I just want to show him how to change that a bit, you know? So, here's a blocker. It extends right now, but let's put a block in front of it. Doesn't move. Why? Because that block is now attached to the floor. What do we do to change that? Okay, now, there we go. Of course, if we do something like this, it doesn't extend anymore. Ooh. And unfortunately, if we do something like this, where it doesn't look attached, it doesn't extend. So, gotta be careful. Dracsis, by the way, recently figured out how to make AND gates. I am so impressed with that. I have not made a single AND gate in this entire game. But what I have made is timers. So I'm gonna make one of those. Let's say, actually first, okay. Let's turn on some of these, because I'm gonna do something. Cool. Oh, you know, the volume here is a bit loud. I'm gonna... Let's turn down the master volume a little. There we go. That probably sounds better. I specifically started in level, by the way, because there's spoilers if I start outside the level. As bare bones as the story is in this, it's still, you know, a good story. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to make 3 triple long pieces. And actually, since they're triple long... now, I could do this 2 ways, actually. I could make it so that I have pushers here. Ooh. I'm going to do it 2 ways. One on each welding group. This one will have pushers, and then welders like this. So, we'll get that group of 3 there. But let's do it a simpler way here. There's always plenty of ways to do things. Okay, cool. Now what shape do I want to make with these? Because I'm going to make a shape with these 2 3 longs. I'm going to make that shape right there. But in order to do that, there's like a few things I could do. There's a bit of thought. Okay, how would you weld together this piece and this piece? Well, you can come at that from... You can't come at that from below because you got nothing down pointed. If you do it here, of course, you're in the way of this one leg here. So the natural inclination might be to do something like this. Okay, that's fair enough. So let's actually do this like that. Make them both slide in. Now you've probably already spotted what's wrong with this setup, but you're going to be impressed the moment I actually change it up a bit. So here we go. There, we got the shape I was trying to get. And since this one slides in last, I will do it like this. Okay. Boom. It's the shape I was trying to get, see? But, what if I want to say... What if I have to? Oop. Drop it here. Let's see if that does it right. Yeah, what if I have to drop it here? That's in the way, right? Well, I'm going to show you something. Because the thing that you have to understand is welding blocks don't need to be next to each other. So here's a bit of a trick I'm going to show you. Let's just... No, wait. To demonstrate this fully, I want to take those away, and... There. We're going to drop both of them in place. How am I going to weld them together, though? You can't put the welders overhead. Well, here's the trick. Welders can do that. Boom. I got the shape I wanted. I got the shape I wanted, and I didn't have to put the welders next to each other. I think if you're watching this, this is going to be helpful. It doesn't even have to be welders on the same surface like this. Here, let's go one different even. Let's put a welder down here. As long as the welders point to adjacent squares, adjacent cubes I should say, they will form a welding path like that. So if we test this one, boom, there you have it. You don't have to put your welders adjacent like that. I mean, it can be useful, but you don't have to do it that way. There's more than one way to get welders to behave properly. So I'm gonna delete my not delete. This is now junk. It goes off the edge. I just want inputs and outputs, so yeah. So, what to do next? Well, I think it's time to grind down those shapes we're making a bit. Maybe I want one less piece off the end. So this is going to be about timing. There's a few ways to do this. So right now we have a shape like this. And I want a shape like this. That's going to be the next part of this. So, there's a few ways to do this. Let's try them. So, I'm going to do a pushing method first. Now, if we just do that... Oops, got things mirror imaged. Let's try this again. So we're going from... darn it. We're going from this shape to this shape with a grinder. So, if we just do it like this, boom, all three ground off. We have to find some way to draw it off. Well, actually, this is pretty easy. Because of the unevenness of the shape, this little bit hangs over the side. And... oop, sorry. Just have to get it to catch right. Oop, nope. Still a few more. Oop, one less. I'll get it, don't worry. There needs to be a certain amount of experimentation. Don't be afraid to test often. There we go. So we now got that second shape I want. I'm making nonsense shapes, but they're all the show points. So this is one way of grinding a little bit off one side. Have it run in, get grabbed to the side. But there's another way. So I'm now going to... whoop. Make this shape here. So it's going from this to this and this to this. So first... now, I'm not quite sure. I just need to check where it's aligned. Okay, yeah, so it's aligned on this side. There we go. When it hits there, it's going to be too long here and too long there and there. That's going to be the part where I want to... right here is going to be where I want to grind some off. So I'm actually going to have to get rid of this. I mean, I've shown the problem before, like pusher. No, one further out. Pusher. If I do this, this isn't going to work, and you've probably already spotted why. Because it's stuck on these blocks here. So it's... I'm not sure if this will work either, because the front of the drill might be caught on this block, but if not, we'll move this block down there. There are solutions. Lots of solutions. Yeah, so this is it. This is just basically an hour of me messing around. And there we go. That's our shape. That's the shape we wanted. Or that I wanted. And we've got it happening in two different ways. We've got it drilling a bit off like that. Drills a bit off the front and then quickly gets snatched aside. And on this side, boom, drill goes inwards. Then is brought back. So let's see. What should I do next? Ooh. Oh, rotators. You absolutely need to know more about rotators. So I'm gonna save these from their off the edge extinction. I mean, I had trouble with rotators too, right? They're not as hard as you think. They're not even... They're a bit fiddly, but what I try to do is not, like, precisely control where everything goes. What I try to do is sort of see where it goes and then base my stuff there. So it gets stuck like this, but we want it to keep going, right? Well, look where it is. It's... One sec. It's here, right? Like this. Okay, so if we need it to keep going when it's right there, we... boop! Put some conveyor under where it will be. And then... see? Easy. And if we want a 180-degree rotation, I suspect... I'm being a bit wasteful, but you know what? I'm being sloppy. That's fine. There's no shame in brute forcing it. At least I think there isn't. You know? Yeah. So now we can rotate it 2 blocks like that. That's a complete 180 rotation. But I'm going to do a 90-degree rotation. And use that for another purpose. Let's see. This... okay, this is aligned like that. So I'm going to take this opportunity to divide it in 2. Okay, so like this, nah, a bit further back. Okay. So what I'm doing, I'm going to take 2 of these now and put them together like so. That's 1. That's 2. And I'm just making a random intricate shape to do stuff. You've probably seen and can guess this, but it's just a matter of... so let's see. This one goes like that. Oop, haha. I got it in the wrong spot. That's fine. And a bit of conduit, just like so. Let's bring them back over to the edge and see if I got it right. Ah, yes. Oh, I had it right the first time. I corrected incorrectly. I corrected incorrectly. Just a little vagary of the mind. Oh, actually... okay, you know what would be easier than... actually, no. This is perfect. This allows me to demonstrate the area select tool. So I'm just going to... boom, select all of this. Move it over this way, I think? Darn it, I don't remember. See if I moved it the right way. Yes, okay. Although I'm going to need to change these conveyor belts a bit. Okay, now this should work. There we go. Now, let's see, I was going to put this one on the bottom and that one on top. It's fine. So let's see. I'm going to make a platform for it, just sort of an outline for myself to, you know, be able to correctly remember how it's supposed to be oriented. Now, is that aligned correctly? That's an important question. Ooh, I'm not sure that's aligned correctly. That is not aligned correctly. No, it is not. Okay. That's fine. You know what the easier bit here is? I'm just going to move that over one. It's the easier way to do it. I feel a bit like I should have prepared more for this, like written down notes on what I wanted to get right, but I don't know. I want to relax right now. Oh, I'm still off a bit. Should have predicted that, but okay. Now, I want it to look like that thing over there. Now, fortunately, this is going faster, so I get the right one on top of the right one, and that's great. Oop, I need to be one further on. That's fine, that's great. And this is actually going to be fairly easy, since I can just weld it here. This should get me the shape I'm looking for. Boom. Just like that. Now, how do I move it away? There, you could do the pusher, but the pusher's, you know, screw the pusher. Pusher's a setup. You have to have at least 2 blocks for that. Let's push it this way. And then toss it off the edge. The idea is that since the second one lands and has this under it, you can just use the conveyor belt to push it over. Let's watch this work. Boom! Just like that. And off it goes. Our ugly little mix of brown and blue blocks. So, what else do I want to teach? Oh yeah. So let's end that. Let's go a bit into pushers. I'm going to use blockers here because they're automatically active at the beginning. And let's make a large assembly here. See if it works. This is for when you absolutely need to weld everything. And doesn't it look fun? Okay, so let's see if this pushes. It does. But need to be careful. You can easily make it non-pushable if you get something in the wrong spot. Worse. So there was a reason I put a block here like this. If we just put the pusher right next to it. Actually, this will probably work too. But the nightmare I had was the potential of making it like that. And this won't work. Watch. See? And the problem is it's stuck down here. This is part of that. So when you absolutely need to weld everything, boom. Okay, one of the things I saw you trying earlier, test blocks. You wanted a loose test block to be pushed around on the floor? Do it like that. If you make a block just straight on the floor, that's not loose, that's welded to the floor. But if you make a block that's a bit off the ground, that is loose. That's not welded to the floor. So I'm going to demonstrate this with a pusher. Ooh, I think it goes one over. Okay. And the idea is I will put a sensor here, along with a conduit, and when it falls, boom, it gets pushed over. But if I just put the block down there, no pushing. It's welded to the floor. So you just need to make sure that the block isn't on the floor to start with if you want to use a test block to fall in the way. I noticed you doing that on the shuttle path and thought that might be helpful. So yeah. Oh, what next? I've gone over rotators made easy. Viscerators, both pushed and non-pushed. How welding can work. Okay. Here's one that'll be, I think, should be important for your next bit. And again, I stress, you know, don't worry too much about your cycle efficiency on the first go through. You can always make it more efficient later. But the question I'm going to ask here is, how do you match some objects when you're hilariously desynchronized on your inputs? And you've been running into that, I can see. So I'm gonna deal with that here. Let's say that you need one of each of these. One brown, one blue, and you're gonna make brown, blue, like that, right? But one's coming out at 3 times the rate. So let's deal with that. Okay, so the key is that the bottleneck block is this one. This one has to come out as fast as it can. This one needs to be slowed down. So I'm going to make pushers here. Push them off. What do you do in order to ensure that... So what happens is they'll both come out and they'll jam here. They'll stop. It can't keep pushing them out like this. What do you do to ensure that the output of this one matches the output of this one? This is the most useful trick in the game. I swear. Now, despite this coming 3 times faster, output on each side, they are the same because I tied the sensor of both to the slower block output. They're both tied to the slower sensor. That means that the output in this situation is the same. So where once I had way too many blocks coming out of the blue here, I now have just enough. And that block we were making suddenly becomes quite simple, like that. And I suspect this is how I want it. I wanted one blue, one brown. There we go. We got the shape, just like we wanted. And just because I want to reiterate this point, there. Weird welding shapes. Hmm. Actually, this brings me to a strategy I used for one level once. I'm going to use a lifter. I'm sorry, I said I wouldn't use any blocks from that you haven't unlocked yet, but this will just make things easier for me, because I'm going to use the reds here. And I want to do this a bit off the ground. Okay. I don't remember the precise situation. But, oop. Oh, I want this to go up. Pusher. I don't remember the precise situation, but at one point I had to ensure that things didn't weld until I was damn good and ready for them to weld. So, I actually used a solution that you seemed like you were so close to using yourself, and then you sort of backed off from it like you couldn't quite figure it out, and I was like, no, you almost had it! But, this is just one way to deal with lifters, by the way. There's tons of things you can do with lifters, I swear. But there is a reason I'm doing it this way. Okay. So why am I doing this? That's because I want a tall object. And I'm gonna weld this. But the welding can't happen until all three. The idea is that I'm gonna make. One sec. I'm gonna make this shape. Like that, right? Out of those red blocks. Oh, I gotta turn it on. And the idea is that I cannot weld it until all three bits are in place. So, actually, I'm going to turn this. I'm going to move this over a bit. Here we go. Okay. So I'm looking for this shape in red blocks. Yeah. First, I'm going to get rid of this. Conveyor here like this. Okay. And welders. Okay. And that'll be fine. I don't actually need all three of these. I could do with just two, but I don't know. Sometimes I like things to look good instead of work well. That's terrible for an engineer, but you know. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to go to this side, over here, and I'm going to put in some welders. Like that. They're not active right now because they don't face into adjacent blocks, but if I've been teaching you anything, that isn't necessarily a killer, so let's do this. We're gonna... Now remember, the idea is that we can only weld once all three blocks are in, all three strips are in position. So, where's the third one gonna be? Like that, right? And it's going to poke into there, so I want to go up a little, over. There we go. So this should work. Okay, okay. Doing this a little wrong. There we go. Okay, but that's not quite what I wanted, because I want this to not go off until the last bit is in. And those other ones They're screwing me up a bit. So I have to think of a way to change that. And I think I know a way. I'm going to make a little structure over here. Okay, good. Okay, I know how I'm gonna do this. Watch this. So why have I made this little thing here? Well, this is going to act as a timer. Oh, no, come on. You can do this. This is my little timer mechanism. And the idea is that this will only go off okay, watch what happens. So right now, it's blocked. The first strip comes in. Now it activates, but not very long, right? That one also activates, but not for very long. And this one, third one, that one stays in place. So this goes around. It marches in front of these. I'm gonna use 3 sensors to ensure a nice long weld. And I'm gonna put a 4th sensor in, but that's not gonna be for welding. That's gonna be near the end. Here, and we'll find out what that last sensor is for soon. Okay. There we go. So, 3 sensors. As it activates those, there, it welds. And this last sensor, when the block finally goes past it, will push. Oop. There we go. And as with all the others, this one will fall off the side, because I'm sending all my things to someone down below. Oop, my pusher's one over. Okay. So I know this looks like a monstrosity, and to a degree it is a monstrosity. This is the type of thing you want to avoid if you want an efficient design. But damn, it's fun. And I think I'm demonstrating some principles here, like that you need the pusher to... Sorry, the blocker to retract for, you know, multiple cycles in order to let something past it, or... you know, that you can weld from different directions, things like that. Here we go. Block. And there we go. Now, I'm a little unsatisfied, and the reason is, this went around fast enough that this hadn't been pushed out of the way by the time this was, by the time the block was back, so it ended up welding twice. We can solve this, though. This is solvable. I'm gonna take these away. We're going to make it take longer to get there. Ooh. Okay. Oop. So this time, well, they're not activated. Well, they're not activated. Well, they're not activated. Well, they're activated. Perfect. Just when we want it to be. Oop. Oh, that's too low. What happened? Something fell down. Oh, it's not connected to anything. Bug testing. The true purpose of this game. So, check the welder. First time, not activated. Second time, not activated. And then... boom! Welded. And pushed on. And there we got our 3x3 block. Vertical. I hope this is helpful. Like... oh, I'm so worried that some of this might actually hold you back instead of helping you. It's useful to think about things these ways, but... I think this timer mechanism is actually something I use more as a crutch than anything else. It's for when I need like a delay or something programmed in and just don't know how to do it. I think the most useful concept you'll need for the level you're currently on, yes, I'm talking directly to you, Dracsis, is this concept here of synchronizing your outputs. When you need 1-to-1, but one's like much faster than the other, or in the case of the level you're on, 6-to-1. But with the one being a little bit too fast. You can synchronize them like this. It doesn't need to be like something that pushes off. You can just as easily block these with a blocker, you know? In fact, you know what? Let's go over some basics of blocking things with blockers. I am going to use this thing here. Let's delete it up to there. And move it this way. Yeah, like that. Okay. So now, as this comes out, goes down these two rollers. That might be a familiar situation for you, but we need it to go at a certain rate, right? So, and again, you got to remember what rate you're linking to, right? Like, you could time it. You can create methods for timing a link, for timing it, but maybe you're trying to time it to match with something. Just use the sensors on the thing you're trying to match with. That's the easiest way to go. And that's the point I'm trying to make here, because we could have easily put a sensor here and a sensor here to push them off, but by putting the sensor to both on the slower one, suddenly the block output on these uneven pieces becomes even again. But now we've got this blocked off. And let's say I want to release one block per thing coming out here. Well, we've already got a sensor for that. Oh. So the thing that I had forgotten, oh no, we want to leave that there, is that you really do need more than one tick of sensors in order for something to be allowed past. So And I've come across the problem with no crouching. So let's make a 3-cycle long sensor. There we go. One's being let out per round. Okay, so that's a 3-bit long sensor. What was I thinking about it? Right, okay. It doesn't have to be like this. Now, you already probably know why not to do this, but just in case it wasn't apparent, let me just... Okay, that's fine, but what if you have 2? Let's... Okay. You were running across this problem earlier. Yeah, so that can push it over if you don't have enough. There's 2 ways to avoid this. The first is the way I showed you just now, where you have the second blocker here. But if you don't want to automate that, or run sensor wire, look, you just need to put a dead block there. And oh, let's reduce this to 2 sensors. And then when then when it tries to push in, it's trying to push into this block and it can't. So in a contest between dead block and pusher, block wins, you know? Okay. So I think this is, yeah, this is going well. So let's recap the lessons here. More than one way to move something off of a staging area. That's this lesson. We use both a pusher and a conveyor belt. The conveyor belt looking much easier in this case, but that's not always going to be the case. Lesson 2. You don't need your welders to line up. Your welders can be at really odd angles to each other, as long as they are pointed at the right spots. Lesson 3. More than one way to grind. It can take a bit of aligning and practice, but there's more than one way to grind. You can do it without pushers and with, just depending on whether you want to use conveyor belts or keep the thing in place. So lesson, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3. Lesson 4, pushing things. You've already got this one down pretty much, but you know, just make sure to distance these based on the size, you know? The main use for buffers is if you need 2 of something to attach together, you know? So that's a thing. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, I think that was lesson 4. Lesson 5. Weld pusher. And block thing. You know that. Anyways. 6. Rotators. You know, just take a look. It's hard to predict where they'll rotate, that much is true. So just run it, you know? Bug testing is about running things and seeing what happens. You never know. And then once you've run it, you know, use that information to... You can just sort of pause, boop, find out where it is, and use that information to put the conveyor belts in the right spot. Was that lesson 6? Whatever. Lesson 7? Yeah, just work to get things lined up. Don't be too worried if they don't at first, and always put your conveyor belt to move things off at the last space to be occupied. This is one of the last spaces to be occupied, but there's actually another here. Right over here. We'll watch these come down again. So the second one, you'll see that this next spot there. So we could have attached a conveyor belt right there on that welder. Okay, lesson 8. How to synchronize your inputs. That's pretty simple, you know, just find the slowest input and synchronize to that. You can't speed up anything. Well, no, actually, that's not true. Okay, do you see in the lower right-hand corner that bit that says input rate with a plus and minus sign? Well, under it, there's the square brackets. You can use the square brackets to change your input rates to higher and lower levels. So if your inputs are coming way too fast and furious, move to a lower input rate. If you want to really decrease your cycle score, bring on the blocks. Here, let's watch what this looks like. Look at that. A ×3 at max is just boom, like that. Yeah, so that's kind of insane. So yeah, I lied there, but anyways, I think that was lesson 9. I don't know, I haven't been paying enough attention, but let's say that was lesson 8. Lesson 8, synchronizing your inputs. Lesson 9, blocking. Lesson 10, timing. Lesson 11, welding on pushers. Lesson 12, the timer. So I mean, that is probably a horrible way of doing things. There's probably much better ways of synchronizing to the stuff coming in. I've just found that when I really need to brute force it, timers like this are invaluable. But that's just me, maybe. Yeah. Well, that's my tutorial for you. Maybe I'll do another one on the advanced, and maybe we can collaborate on some of the way harder levels near the end. I have never gotten past this one level near the end. I'm three puzzles, I think, from actually winning the game. But oh man, some of those puzzles are just way too hard. You've been very inventive. You've been exceedingly inventive, and I appreciate that. So, anyways, I'm gonna zoom out to a vantage point like this. There we go. I'm gonna run this for a bit. Oh, yeah. And I'll end this tutorial on a picture of everything running around. Well, thanks for watching. That was only 53 minutes, but I hope this helps, you know? I hope this provides helpful hints on things you can do. I know that the shuttle puzzle was no big problem for me. There's a puzzle coming up where, like, okay, I've been redoing my puzzles ever since you started playing to see if I can do better, and usually I can. And I think that's just experience, but usually I can do better, but in one case, the shuttle, I think it was, no, not the shuttle puzzle. Okay, there's a puzzle coming up in about 2 puzzles for you. I think it's called drone maintenance. And I went and did it. I had no trouble doing it. I was quick, efficient, I got it done. And then I looked at my block score at the end, and it's like, I used about 240 blocks, and I looked at my high score, and my high score said 78. I'm like, holy crap! I did so much better the first time, you know? And so I went back and I checked my old solution, and it was a marvel of efficiency. It was so much more efficient than it had been the time before. and I was I was very amazed, and it gave me whole new ideas on how to do things. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'm probably gonna do a let's play of a game You Got Me next. And until next time, outro, outro, outro.